Good morning, traders, and welcome to NQ pre-market prep for 1/6. This is Venderman with FuturestraderElite. We're going to jump into the 1 hour chart here and start checking out some levels. All right, we got this 1 hour chart pulled up. I hadn't corrected anything yet from yesterday. So first we're going to move this trend line right here. This 1 hour trend line, we're going to move down to this wick on this big red candle from overnight around 2 in the morning, I believe. And here's we still have these precision entry zones on from yesterday's pre-market prep in the morning, and this is why it's important to have them, because even if you don't trade the New York session and you trade the overnight session, look at this precision entry zone right here. We had from about 5:25 to 5:30. If you was watching this yesterday and had this big red candle that got put in overnight, look where it bounced. If we extend this precision entry zone was at 5:25. And then we enlarge this. That wick came down, that candle came all the way down, tagged that precision entry zone from yesterday's pre-market prep, sucked all the way back up. Had you had some orders set down there in that Pez box, you could have got picked up, and it sucked all the way back up and closed above the golden pivot at around 571. Over about almost a 50-point move off that precision entry zone. And that's why we leave them there until they've either been touched or the chart tells us to restructure where our boxes are at. So like up here we had this box, you can see we have went through it and everything else, so we need to make some adjustments on the top side here. And so I'm going to grab this box here. We're going to click on this box, and we are going to move it to right about, we're going to move that box will be from 665 to 655. Will be this box up here to the top side right now. Now let's look at some things in the structure. You know, we got this 15-minute trend line up here, this one right here, which I guess now can act as a 1 hour trend line, but this is a 1 hour, this red trend line at the top up here. 1 hour, this can be a 1 hour. It was a 15-minute. But what we're going to be looking at, we got this 4 hour green trend line here, and we just moved this 1 hour trend line. Our range today is going to be between these trend lines, and we still got the same precision entry zones from yesterday. These are all levels that will have to be dealt with if they want to try to take this to the bullish side. Excuse me. And you know, first we're going to have to get through this trend line. We need to change our direction, and in order to do that, we're going to have to really, for me to get bullish on this, we're going to have to break through this line, this R2 pivot, and we need to break this point right here. So this precision entry zone up here, we're going to have to break that for our bias to really get bullish. That'll be around 935 or so. To get bullish, for the bias to turn bullish, we got to break both these lines and start heading north of 935. You know, even if we break these lines right here and we get to 925 to 935 and we reject and never reclaim, then the bias on this is still going to be to the downside. You know, you have to expect, if we can't break this structure here, then you need to expect continuation to the downside. Now I understand we can come up and we can break this structure here. We can break this structure right here where we wicked into that. We can break this structure, you know, but ultimately we need to break this one up here. And that's why it's important to know how to read this structure and what you're looking at for there to actually be a shift or a change in the bias of the market. So until that happens, we are going to worry about between these trend lines. And right now, that's going to be 745 and about 555. You see we had this previous all-time high. This yellow line down here is around 545. You know, so right now, questionably, we're going to be looking to try to head back to 655 to 665 right in here. And then I'm going to be looking for rejection in this box. You know, we got higher lows, higher low. I'm sorry, lower high, lower high, lower high. I'm going to expect this to come up, maybe tag this box with a lower high and pierce through this line. We could pierce through this trend line here before ever getting up there. We'll see which way they want to take the market. And if they did pierce through it, you know, I'm still going to be looking. We need to extend this box here. This is 702 to 712, or you could go 700 to 710. Either one would be fine. I'm going to extend this over. And then we got this little box here. We need to extend that. That'll be 730 to 735, which will be a sweep of that pivot there. You know, that R1 pivot is at 722. We get over here into the morning and this pivot gets close to this trend line. That could be an A+ setup. Say they try to drive this market up. Over here after the market opens, you'll have that R1 pivot sitting over here on this trend line, plus this Pez box above it. So there'll be a whole lot of confluence there for rejection. You have to ask yourself, you know, do I want to play first reaction to the R1 pivot? Well, if it's sitting right on this 1 hour trend line, absolutely, I want to play first reaction. But you're going to have to remember that that Pez box is there, which will be a lot like a sweep of that line and that pivot. They could tag that box. So you really what it would boil down to is the ATR and how fast it got there and what it was looking at that moment in time. Say that they got all the way up here and they started chopping sideways, you know, kind of stalled out right in here just under that pivot. Well, if they stall out and they consolidate, that's when you're going to want to say, okay, I don't know if I want to play first reaction on the R1 pivot and trend line. Maybe I want to play a sweep of that area, maybe this Pez box, maybe even a little bit higher, top of these wicks over here, you know, 740, 745 for rejection. But now if they drive this up and there's a lot of momentum and just boom, big green candle, boom, big green candle, and then tag that, that's the kind of first reaction you want. You don't want them to stop up here in this precision entry zone and start stalling out and trading sideways, because that's when you're going to get a big push to either break or a big downside move. Something to be cautious of when it happens. Now let's look a little bit to the downside. and see what we're looking at. Okay, so we're trading at about just over 600. The golden pivot is at 564. And that golden pivot's going to get over here into this 1 hour trend line. Now, the question with that is about what time, say we get over here, see that golden pivot will be sitting right on this 1 hour trend line about the time the market opens today. And so if they do bring a hard move down, say they're still up here in this area, and we can drop, 40, 50 points. It'd be better if this got, let's say, up here to the 623 area, maybe a little higher, and then by the time the market opens, it was up there and could drop, 50, 70 points and tag this line in that golden pivot. That'd be an A+ set up for a first reaction bounce. That is only if it's set up that way. It's something to watch and look for. And then, of course, we have this precision entry zone down here. Well, this was the one from yesterday, overnight. We didn't tag it yesterday, but overnight session around 2 in the morning did, 2, 3 o'clock. Tag that. Well, we're going to move that. We are going to actually move this to over here at about, we're going to run this box from 735 to 740 in that area. Ain't got to be exact. Mine's at like 634 to from 534 to 541. It's, really going to be looking at 535 to 540. But then you got to think, if we get down here, we bust this trend line, we got this previous all-time high at 545, but then the Pez box right under it. So you could be thinking you're going to get a sweep, down into that area possibly. Not necessarily going to be the case, but it's something to look at. And, of course, we got some boxes down here that we need to probably extend for now. This is 460 to 465. This is 420 to 425. This one down here is 385 to 390. And then this one down here will be 365 to 370. We'll extend all them for now. And now we're going to break this down. We're going to drop this down to the 1 hour trend line. The 15-minute time frame real quick and take a look at that. Where we are on the 15. What I want to look for is, alright, so right in here we're gonna alright, so right here we had an imbalance zone on the 15-minute, but you can see we done worked into it, so we're going to move this up to the top of this wick where we've already gotten to show what's left of the imbalance. Alright, so now we have this precision entry zone up here, and we still have this imbalance zone that needs to be filled on the 15-minute chart. And that'll get us up to 640, 641 is the top of the box. And then we have the precision entry zone. I don't know. if I wanted to see if I could find something else to the downside here on the 15-minute chart, because we got this is 535 and 465 in here, in case there needs to be a level here that we might need to worry about. We're going to put a horizontal line for right now. At 520, and then we're going to put a horizontal line at, say, 495 instead of some precision entry zones. And what we're going to be looking at is if this were to come back to the downside and get below all this, these horizontal lines at 520 and 495 are going to be areas of interest. Not necessarily a first reaction situation, but it very well could be. If we get a hard down move and you're thinking, well, where might we get the bounce at? I'll be paying attention to my kill zone indicator, plus where these horizontal lines are at and these precision entry zones, because that'll tell me, if, let's say, this kill zone is down here in the oversold area real heavy, like this is down here, whenever it gets to this green line at 80 or even below it, I'll know that we're looking forward to probably going to have a bounce coming in, and I try to line these up with areas on the chart that I believe we could have some reaction, and if they line up, that'll tell me that I may need to get ready to take a position in one of these areas. That's all we're going to have for pre-market prep this morning on NQ. I hope everybody has a disciplined day, a green day. Stay safe, stay sharp, stay strong. Don't get emotional. Don't chase any trades. We've got plenty of things marked out and laid out to wait for, and let the trades come to you, and you should be fine. Everybody have a great day. If you're from Discord, I'll see you in Discord in the live updates or in the chat room. Everybody have a great trading day.